Welcome to Native Talk Arizona, Native Health's Native American Cultural Affairs program, presented by Native Health and KRDP 90.7 FM. I'm Susan Levy. And with us today is Dr. Nolan Frisch. He's a dentist at Native Health Central, and we're super excited to have him and learn about how to take care of your teeth and your oral health. So welcome, Dr. Frisch.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you having me.
We're super excited to have you here. And you have such great teeth.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
I think all dentists have great teeth. Before we get started, tell us a little bit about yourself, your journey. How'd you end up at Native Health?
Yeah, it's a great question. I'm originally from the Midwest, St. Louis area. My wife and I then moved to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where I completed 4 years of dental school at Marquette University. We then moved back to the St. Louis area where I completed residency and then continued working at a federally qualified healthcare center that provided, medical and dental services to our patients of our community. My wife and I then moved here to the Phoenix area about 2 years ago now, and I've been working with Native Health since the beginning of this year.
Okay, so like a year, right?
Yeah.
Have you been here a year?
Just about 6 months.
Okay. Time flies.
It does.
Seems like you just started. All right. Are there any new trends in dentistry? Like, what's changing? There's got to be something.
Yeah, that's a great question. Much like all healthcare professions, it seems like new research and new data is always coming out on ways that we can provide minimally invasive dentistry to still give patients great results. Some things that do come to mind initially are just the advancements of some of the technology that we already have. A lot of things that were computer generated and CGI generated have definitely started becoming more accurate. And the studies show that the progressions that are being made are providing, better long-term results for the procedures that we provide and better patient care long-term. This also can include some of the materials that we use. So general materials that we use on dental cleanings, like the toothpaste, Prophy paste that we kind of use to clean your teeth when you're in the dental chair, has continued to provide patients with better results and keep those teeth cleaner longer. To the material
and taste better.
That's still up for
that's
still up for the jury to decide.
Okay.
Unfortunately, nothing we really use tastes well. They haven't figured that part out.
Okay.
But it's definitely working a little better long term. The materials that we use to fill fillings in the dental chair, aesthetically, they're starting to look continually better and kind of just hide with the rest of your natural tooth.
So white now?
Correct. Yes.
Not silver or any other color?
Correct.
Or
yeah.
black or whatever?
The silver fillings are becoming a thing of the past, especially as, again, the materials that we use, start to progress and become not only aesthetically pleasing to patients, but also biologically ideal in kind of mimicking the function of and the look of the natural tooth.
Okay. All right. Question. I had often heard, I had been to somebody at one point and they said, really only take care of the teeth you want to keep. Is that still pretty true?
That is a good point. I actually have a sign in our guest bathroom that says that you only brush the teeth you want to keep. Brushing the teeth, in good hygiene. So brushing twice a day, in the morning, after breakfast, and at night before going to bed, as well as flossing those teeth, is going to be the best way to keep them. That is true. Okay,
what about electric toothbrush? Better than manual?
Yeah, so the toothbrush that you enjoy and that you like is the one I recommend.
Right.
The electric ones do provide a little bit of simplicity, as you can just kind of hold them onto the teeth and they'll shake, they'll vibrate, they'll rotate, and they'll do a great job cleaning. But, that electric toothbrush doesn't really work well if it sits in the drawer. So you got to make sure that, you find the toothbrush that you like, whether it's the traditional hand manual toothbrush or if it's one of the newer electric ones.
Okay, should you brush for 2 minutes?
2 minutes is a great baseline, yes. So,
okay.
We want to make sure that we're not only brushing the teeth themselves, but we're also angling the toothbrush up towards the gum, getting those gums nice and clean as well. And about, a minute on the top teeth and a minute on the bottom teeth seems to be, the best time-wise that can be done.
Okay, and you said flossing.
Correct.
And then what about like a water pick?
Yeah, water picks are fantastic too at kind of spraying, that jet of water and kind of getting down there between the teeth, as well as in between, or between the teeth, as well as kind of where that tooth meets the gum, and making sure that we're keeping everything as clean as possible.
Okay, so if you're one of the old school and you like the manual, soft versus medium, does it matter?
Correct.
Or is it personal preference?
So ideally, we're going to want the softest toothbrush that they have on the shelf. I know it kind of seems counterintuitive, but those hard, firm bristles, they might feel like they're doing a really good job cleaning those teeth and scrubbing them, but they're actually more damaging to the gums and can cause gum recession, as well as, harm to the teeth themselves and actually wearing the teeth away.
So I know my husband was just here and came in, and he said to me, "Oh, they said my gums are receding from brushing, so I don't think I'm going to brush my teeth anymore." And I'm like, "Nah, I don't think that's what they meant." Is that usually what you mean?
Well,
not to stop brushing?
Yeah.
Or maybe brush a little lighter or use a softer toothbrush?
Yeah, the stopping of the brushing, that might have been his interpretation, but that's not necessarily probably what we meant.
Okay.
Again, making sure that we have that soft bristle toothbrush, and that we're kind of also working that toothbrush in small circular strokes, softly letting the bristles do the work.
I know I was listening to something on NPR a couple of years ago, and it was, the order is different, and I don't know what you believe in. It was more the order should be, I think it was like water pick, floss, and then brush. Does the order matter, or just do it?
So doing it is most important, yes. The order, if you want to give yourself maybe the best, the most ideal would be looking at using that water pick and then flossing and then looking to brush the teeth. That essentially will allow the toothpaste, the fluoride in the toothpaste, to kind of get in between the teeth better, because the floss has already kind of cleaned between the teeth and removed some of the buildup between those teeth, allowing the toothpaste to kind of get in that area.
Awesome. I'm doing it right.
You are, yes.
All right. So I know we've got a new machine at the NHW Community Health Center over on 22nd Avenue in Dunlap. And I know it's like a CT scan or something. So what is that machine?
Correct. So that machine is called a CBCT. And essentially what that is a cone beam computed technology that allows for a three-dimensional picture of a specific tooth, the whole arch itself, or even the whole head. And what we're able to do is kind of get a full view of the three-dimensional structure. A lot of the X-rays that we have or have had in the past, I should say, and majority of the X-rays across dental offices are just going to be two-dimensional pictures of a 3D structure. So by getting a three-dimensional X-ray through the CBCT machine that we have at West there, it kind of allows us to better visualize the tooth and where that tooth specifically lies and looks like kind of on the inside, as well as kind of where it lays to next to some of the anatomical structures that we're concerned about when we're kind of performing certain procedures, whether that be root canals or tooth extractions.
What could you tell if the tooth wasn't in good shape and you needed a root canal? Like, what kind of things can you see with that?
Correct. So it allows us to look at very specifics of the tooth and different cross sections. That allows us to look and see if there's any cracks or fractures in the tooth and if the tooth can be saved. It also allows us to see the inside of the pulp chambers of the tooth where we kind of clean during a root canal. So what might look to be only one pulp chamber on a traditional two-dimensional X-ray can sometimes be seen as two or even three chambers on that three-dimensional X-ray. It can also kind of give us an idea if there's any infection in the tooth and kind of where that infection might be laying, whether it's above the tooth, behind the tooth, on either sides of the tooth. It again kind of just gives us some more information so that we can provide the best treatment possible. Another big concern too when looking at extracting teeth is getting an idea on where certain nerve canals might be in relation to the tooth, and again just kind of allows us to plan accordingly when needing to provide treatment.
Just sounds a little painful. I don't know. I think I have a dental aversion. I know you guys are awesome because I use you and I think you're great, but wow. Okay.
Unfortunately, you're not the only one.
That's a pretty expensive piece of equipment, wasn't it?
I believe so,
Yeah.
Yes. Unfortunately, they're not cheap, but again, they do provide, just kind of that gold standard of giving us all the information possible.
And it's state of the art. I know we just got it in like March or April.
Correct.
So like just brand new.
Yes.
Okay, so now that we're talking about all these really fun things, back to school is upon us, or will be in July. Is it important to have your kids' teeth checked like before school, like a physical, or should they come? Let's just say we're talking a school-age child between 5 and 18. Should they come once a year, twice a year? Should they get their teeth cleaned twice, 3, 4 times? Do they need to come before school, or is it a good time when they're here to do their back to school physical that they pop in and see and make an appointment for dental? What do you recommend?
Yeah, so the American Academy of Pediatrics recommends that patients are seen twice a year for normal checkup and cleaning. And kind of at that time, not only can we get the teeth cleaned, but we can also see if there's any cavities or anything like that have kind of come up. And what we're also doing at those appointments is we're just kind of tracking where that patient lies with the baby teeth kind of coming out, how the development of the permanent teeth is kind of progressing. If there's any issues with the permanent teeth and how they're developing, inside the jaw, we're able to kind of take a sooner action to kind of correct any of those issues before, some of those changes might become permanent. Back to school time is definitely a great time to come and see us if you're not already seeing us regularly. And, while those kids are on summer break, rather than having to have them miss school, when they're here getting their physical, their back to school physical with our medical department, thankfully that, we have dental in each of those departments as well, in close proximity that they can either ideally, make an appointment for a future visit, or even better yet, maybe be seen at the same time that they're already here seeing their primary care doctor.
So I know you're talking about back to school and like baby teeth and permanent teeth. I know that orthodontics has started earlier. When do they start orthodontics, or does it just depend on the child? So
it definitely depends on each child. Ideally, an orthodontist is going to kind of want all of those, unless there's any major concerns, while the patient still has kind of their baby teeth per se. An orthodontist is generally going to want all those baby teeth gone and kind of have the permanent ones erupted kind of in their final position, I guess you could say, before they start treatment. That way they're not necessarily having to go back and correct any issues if the teeth aren't already erupted. Those baby teeth kind of coming out is dependent on every child. So for some patients it might be 9 or 10. For some patients it might be 15, 16. Again, there's the wide variety and a wide timetable of each patient individually. So it's never too late to go see a dentist for that first time, to not only have kind of all the teeth checked out and make sure that things are looking healthy, but also maybe look at possible orthodontics if that's a concern in the future.
But you should start early, right?
Correct.
Like when your first tooth erupts, you should bring your child in.
Correct. Going back to the recommendation, they do say 6 months is kind of that first tooth erupting is kind of the good time to start normal routine visits. And it may not seem like much, those first couple of appointments, but we take a good look at the teeth and again try to identify anything that might be going on early. Whether if that's evaluation of like a tongue or a lip tie that might be inhibiting, a small baby from eating or drinking regularly, to just kind of getting them acclimated to what we do and why we do it in the dental chair, getting them familiar, the different equipment and things that we kind of use on a day-to-day basis in the dental office.
What about wisdom teeth? Now I know that like some of my own kids, like some had 4, some had 2, and one had none.
Yeah.
Do you see that? Like, is that pretty common?
Yeah. So the wisdom teeth, they're the most common teeth to kind of not be there if there's going to be a missing tooth. They're also the most common to be an extra tooth as well. So some patients even have 5 or 6.
Ooh, okay.
And, they definitely become an area of concern. I would say a large majority of the population has had to have them taken out at some point. Again, we through those routine visits through adolescence, we kind of are already looking at those wisdom teeth, looking at how they're erupting, evaluating how much space there might be in the mouth and if they're going to properly erupt. Again, majority of the time, patients don't have enough room, so those teeth do need to be taken out at some point. Generally, patients it starts to become an issue around that 15, 16 year of age, all the way up to 25. And what we don't necessarily want is those wisdom teeth to cause damage to the permanent teeth that are already, erupted into their position. or cause any infections. What the wisdom teeth will kind of also do if there's not enough room is they'll just kind of continue to push, and they'll continue to push. And what this can cause over time, going back to the a lot of these patients maybe have had braces in the past and their teeth are super nice and straight. And those wisdom teeth pushing can kind of cause a disruption in that. And they can cause a lot of crowding and overlapping of the front teeth. So getting them taken care of if they need to get taken out is definitely something that we're going to recommend, and we're going to kind of continue to evaluate through childhood and into adulthood.
Do we take them out at Native Health, or do you send them out?
Each case is a little different, with using some of the technology that we have, like the CBCT machine. We can kind of evaluate each tooth and each patient individually and see if we're able to take them out here at Native Health. And if not, we can kind of provide or find an office.
Like an oral surgeon?
That can do that, correct.
Okay. All right. Well, we're pretty much out of time, but I wanted to let people know that they can call Native Health. We currently have dental services at Native Health Central and at NHW. And the phone number is 602-279-5262, extension 14004 with Tara. And I do know that we take medical or dental walk-ins for emergencies every morning and every afternoon, and people can walk in if they're in pain, bleeding, pus, or swollen, and get it addressed the same day. And I know Dr. Frisch is awesome, as well as our entire dental team. And I appreciate you coming on today and telling us, make sure you get your kids' teeth checked before they start school. So thank you.
Correct. Yes. Thank you for having me. And we're definitely here for everyone who might need us. So don't be shy and give us a call if you need to be seen.
Thank you.
Coming up next on Native Talk Arizona, Susan Levy chats with Tanana Ben, 2025-2026 Miss Indigenous ASU. Support for KRDP 90.7 FM comes in part from Native Health, with 2 locations in Phoenix, 4041 North Central Avenue, Building C, near the corner of Central Avenue and Indian School Road, and at 8800 North 22nd Avenue. Native Health is also located in Mesa at 777 West Southern Avenue, near the corner of Southern Avenue and Extension Road. Native Health provides primary medical, dental, behavioral health, WIC, and wellness services for the urban Native American community. For more information, call 602-279-5262 or visit our webpage at nativehealthphoenix.org.
Welcome back to Native Talk Arizona, Native Health's Native American Cultural Affairs program, presented by Native Health and KRDP 90.7 FM. I'm Susan Levy. Tanana Ben is Navajo, and she's a student at ASU studying biomedical sciences and is the 2025-2026 Miss Indigenous ASU. Tanana, welcome to Native Talk Arizona.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
It's so nice to see you again and hear about all the things that you're doing. So before we get started, tell us a little bit about what you've been doing. How did you get interested in Miss Indigenous ASU, and how did you end up at ASU, and all of those things?
Yeah, so first I'll introduce myself in my Navajo language. So yat adonet nishlaniki e tohaguni nisha ye dene tachini e bashichin no dene tachini e dash che ado kinkalchini e dashnella she Tanana Ben Yanisha. So hi, my name is Tanana Ben. I'm Waterflows Together clan, born for the Red people running into the Water clan. My maternal grandfather's is of the Ute people running into the Water clan, and my paternal grandfather's is of the Red House clan, and that is how I identify myself as a young Navajo woman in a 5-fingered bean. So yeah, I'm a student at Arizona State University studying biomedical sciences. I am going into my 5th year studying my major, and I am this year's 2025-2026 Miss Indigenous at ASU. And so pretty much this all kind of started back in 2023 when I first watched the Miss Indigenous ASU pageant. And that was my first time ever watching a pageant ever. And I was just so mesmerized by the whole process and just thinking, oh my gosh, I want to do that pageant. And it all started from there, but I didn't run for this title until this year because I had done Miss Indian Arizona in the past because I was just so eager to do a pageant. So I just decided to do Miss Indian Arizona that following year, and then I got a second attendant. Huh? And so I pretty much just served my year on the court for Miss Indian Arizona, and I ran again this past year. And so then I just decided to run for Miss Indigenous ASU. So then I received this title.
And there you are. Mm-hmm. So is this easier? I know we had Miss Navajo on Miss Navajo Nation last year, or maybe the year before, but I know that one is like really intense and rigorous and lots of things you have to do. Is it the same? Or is this one, I don't want to say different or easier or better, but is there a lot of difference?
It's way more relaxed. That's probably the best way I could explain it, because with Miss Navajo, that's a whole week-long process. Yeah. And ours is only within like 2 hours, and you're really only on that stage for like probably less than 20 minutes, I'd like to say. And we're not butchering a sheep on stage. I think that's like the biggest difference between like our pageant and Miss Navajo. But another thing is that we also have a court. So we have a Mr. Indigenous ASU. His name is Logan Log. And then our first attendant. So my first attendant for Miss Indigenous ASU, her name's Caitlin Yazzie. And then the Mr. Indigenous ASU first attendant is Deshawn Delguy this year. And so that's also a big difference, is that you have a chance to be able to be placed on the court for like second place, I guess you could say. So for Miss Navajo, you're pretty much the only one that serves as your tribal ambassador for the Navajo Nation. But for us at ASU, we have 4 different people on the court that help serve.
But you're also pretty busy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you're called to do just a lot of things.
Yeah, I definitely say that holding like the crown is a lot more, it keeps me a lot more busier, I like to say, because you know, a lot of people, they want me to attend different events, but I can't be everywhere at once. So that's where my court comes in handy. So they're able to attend events on my behalf, or just being able to attend events in their own events, like their tribal communities that they want to go to. So that's something that's really helpful as well.
That's pretty awesome. All right, I'm going to back up a little bit. Let's talk about, and I don't know if you know, does ASU, or I do know they have some like American Indian programs. Do you know or enough about any of those programs, or can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, so at ASU, we're very fortunate to have different Native American programs at ASU. We have the American Indian Student Support Services, also known as AISSS, and they're one of the major resources for students. So whether you're undergrad or graduate, they offer different types of resources within their own little spaces that they have on campus. So they're located on like the Tempe, West, Polytechnic, and downtown. So they're on all 4 campuses here in Arizona, and they offer resources such as like free printing, or they host various events. So one of my favorite personal events is when they do like a Thanksgiving dinner for all the students before they go back home during winter break or during Thanksgiving break. And so they pretty much just bring in like turkey and then different types of foods. That way students can come in and just pretty much share a meal together. So I'm always a really big fan of that one. But there's also other resources such as the American Indian Initiatives that more specialize on outreach programs for students that want to attend college. So they could be anywhere from like elementary to middle school and high school. And that's pretty much just giving them, you know, the idea that they can attend university. And they often ask students like myself to be able to talk to these students to show that Indigenous representation in higher education, that, you know, there's students that look like you and that are going and doing these like awesome things in their academic journey. So it's definitely possible for you to do that as well. So that's pretty much what the American Indian Initiatives offer. And then I also work at the Labriola National American Indian Data Center. So we're one of the only Indigenous-led libraries in the whole entire country. And then our staff is fully Native American as well. So I think that's very unique. In all of our books in our space, they are intended for an Indigenous audience, or either they're by Indigenous authors, which I think is really cool as well. But we also host different events throughout the year. So we have like open mic night. Just recently we had an Indigenous fashion show, which I led that whole entire event. So that was like crazy. It was during Native American Heritage Month, and it was like our final send off for like students as well. So that was really fun. But there's also other like degree programs like construction in Indian country. There's the Indian law program as well. But those are pretty much like the main resources that we have on campus at ASU for Native students.
Pretty awesome. And Labriola is amazing. They're still at Hayden Library, right?
Yeah, and then we also have a smaller campus at the West Campus and Fletcher Library.
Oh, they do? I did not know that.
Yeah, it's pretty much like where all of our archives are in, because we also specialize in archives. So a lot of our other books and archives that can't fit in our little space, well, not little space, but in our space at Hayden Library, they're at the Fletcher campus on West Campus.
Now, can anybody go there and see that, or is that by appointment only?
That's by appointment only at the West Campus, but they're pretty flexible in getting in people that want to view like the archives or the books that we have to offer there.
See, so you're involved with all kinds of stuff at ASU. That's awesome. So tell me what the process is for Mr. and Miss Indigenous ASU. Like, is there a process? Do you apply? Do you have to apply way in advance? Do you need a tribal ID or CIB, or can you self-identify? What's the whole process to getting involved?
Yeah, so typically our application opens about a month to a month and a half before the pageant. So we try to have our pageant in line with the ASU powwow weekend. So typically back like during April, so whenever the powwow is, we try to have the pageant that Saturday of that weekend, so that way it aligns with the ASU powwow. But typically the application opens about a month to a month and a half in advance, and it's open to all students, so whether they're undergrad or graduate level. There is really no age restriction as well, which I think is really unique, because I know a lot of pageants, they like their age restrictions like 25 and that's their cutoff, but with ours are pretty much open to all students. And then you do have to apply, so you do have to have some sort of tribal verification in a way, but we also are a little bit more welcoming to people that do not have like a federally recognized tribe. So some tribes may be unfederally recognized, so we're typically good about welcoming all types of Indigenous students and their backgrounds as well. And the application typically asks like essay questions. So I know for one of my questions, I believe it was like, how do you believe like your impact will, if like how you will impact Arizona State University as like Miss Indigenous ASU if you're like awarded the title. So you have to pretty much complete like an essay of questions, and there's also like other basic ones as well, like why do you want to be Miss Indigenous ASU, and it pretty much just comes down to like your personal beliefs and your moral values, I like to say. And so I put a lot of thought into those essay questions, even though like they really are welcoming to all types of people, but I like to be able to show like my background and what my beliefs are as a person in that essay. So that's pretty much like the application process. It's not too hectic. I believe I filled it out within like one sitting.
Okay, so why did you want to be Miss Indigenous ASU? Since that was one of your questions.
Yeah, so I wanted to be Miss Indigenous ASU because I grew up here in the Valley. I went to school down here in Phoenix, and I never would have thought of myself as holding any type of title within like tribal pageants or anything like that, because I grew up in the city. Most of the time I felt like you had to come from the reservation, and I feel like there's a stigma between like urban natives and people who grew up on the reservation, that urban natives really can't learn their culture or learn their language because they grew up off the reservation. But I really wanted to promote that, you know, I grew up in an urban setting, and I really wanted to show, you know, that you can learn, that learning isn't impossible, and no matter at what stage in life you are, you're able to learn as well. So I wanted to be able to show that to other urban native students that are potentially here in the Valley that are wanting to learn more about their culture but don't know where to start. But I just wanted to show that if I can learn my culture, if I can learn my language, then I'm pretty sure everyone else can as well, because there's a lot of welcoming resources here in the Valley, such as like Native Health that hosts various events, or the Phoenix Indian Center. But I just wanted to be able to have that special connection with my urban relatives here, and to be able to show that you're able to do these types of things, and it doesn't matter whether you grew up on the reservation or you grew off the reservation, that you're able to do these things as well. And so that was pretty much my inspiration of running for Miss Indigenous ASU, was to be able to connect with my fellow students that didn't grow up on the reservation and that kind of feel a little bit culturally unconnected. And I just wanted to be able to show them that these things are possible for them to be able to do too.
Where'd you go to high school?
I went to school at Mountain Point High School in Ahwatukee.
In Ahwatukee, okay. Did they have like any Native American clubs or any programs up there?
So I graduated in a class of, I believe, almost 700. I want to say it was like 680 something. It was a really large class.
That's a lot.
Yeah, and my graduating class, I want to say there was maybe 6 Native students that graduated along with me. And with that, throughout the whole school, I want to say there's probably like 30.
So not many. Okay.
No, not many, but we did have like a Native American club, and it was like active throughout high school, on and off, I'd like to say it just depended on who led it. But I was very fortunate to be like the president both my junior and senior year. But those were during COVID years. So a lot of the time we had our meetings over Zoom. And then we couldn't really host much events because, it's COVID. So we had a little bit of restrictions on things. But I like to say that a lot of the students that went to Mountain Point High School, we pretty much all knew each other. So like they're at least Indigenous students.
But, look at ASU. They do so many things, between AISSS and the American Indian Initiatives. Are you going to be at Inspire?
Yeah, I am. I'm actually a lead camp ambassador. So I will be leading my fellow peers as well. It's actually next week. So It is
next week.
Yeah.
And we're hosting them. I don't know if you're coming to this one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're coming on next Wednesday here.
Oh, that's exciting. I'm not entirely too sure. Just because I won't have a group of kids like the camp ambassadors will. I'll pretty much be like behind the scenes making sure that everything is okay. So, but I will be pretty involved within like the planning process and just making sure that, everyone's okay, whether it be like my fellow peers as camp ambassadors or the kids as well. But we leave, I believe, on Saturday. So we get to ASU as the camp ambassadors and then everyone else who is in part Inspire, and our kids don't arrive until Sunday. So,
hats off to you and to ASU. I really, I'm a Sun Devil, but I think that they do such a tremendous job kind of adding all these programs and just, I don't know, everything that they do. Besides Miss Indigenous ASU too. But I just think they do a lot.
Yeah, I really like ASU's program when they cater, or the way that they cater to Indigenous students. That's one of the reasons why I chose to attend ASU, is because all of the resources that they had to offer for Indigenous students, but not only like college students as well, but they also try to go out to different tribal communities and to be able to show like the representation within Indigenous college students. And I think that's something that's really great, and I don't really see that much within other universities. So I feel like they try to, keep the students at ASU level-minded and happy, and just try to do the best they can, especially regarding like mental health and ensuring that, we don't get homesick a lot. And they also do go out to these communities such as Inspire, and they bring them here to ASU, and they show these students what it's like to be a college student, for a week. And it's really cool because I feel like those are like long-lasting memories that you're able to have, because you create like friendships during Inspire, and you also get a taste of what it's like to be a college student as well. So they do a lot as ASU for the Indigenous community. So I think that's great.
I agree. They do a good job. And you are a great representative for them. When you were running for Miss Indigenous ASU and you were crowned, was it super exciting?
It was exciting because
I saw the video.
Oh, really? The former Miss Indigenous ASU from last year, Monica Yazzie, she is one of my really good friends. So it just felt like a full circle moment, because I recall last year helping her with the pageant and just pretty much, helping her with her talent portion, because she sang last year. And so just like listening to her sing, and I had pageant experience in the past, and this is her first time running for a pageant. So she asked me for some guidance and for some help. So I told her like scholar posture, like stand up straight, and etc. So it was really cool to be able to help her. And then she crowned me this year. So I thought that was like such a full circle moment as well. And I was getting so emotional on the stage. I told myself I wasn't going to cry, but as soon as like she put the crown on me, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to cry, because it was so heartwarming.
That's awesome. What was your talent?
I sang as well. I sang with my drum in Navajo.
Very cool. So does everybody do a traditional talent, or could it be anything?
There's really not a limit on what you can do for your talent. There's not really any like type of traditional or contemporary talent category. So it's just pretty much whatever you want to bring to the table as your talent. So this year I did singing. Another contestant did singing as well with the drum. And then my first attendant, she did a dance. And then another...
Like traditional or...
Yeah, she did a traditional Navajo dance as well.
Okay.
But it was more of like a take on it, I guess you could say, because it's a very cultural dance. And so she did the best that she could without bringing too much of like the cultural aspect to it. So it was good. I liked it. It was a traditional dance, I like to say. And another contestant for Miss Indigenous ASU played the cello. And I really enjoyed her performance. So that was a really cool thing that she brought. And for the misters, the first attendant, I believe he sang with his drum as well. And then the second, or the mister right now, he did running as his talent, which I know a lot of people were like, how is he going to do running for his talent? But he did a really awesome job because he brought up like, you know, that a lot of the time that talents are like singing or dancing, but being able to run and having the gift of, you know, having your legs and being able to go out there and run for other people who can't run for themselves, he pretty much demonstrated that in his talent, and he did such a wonderful job. I feel like he really blew the crowd away because
that's awesome.
A lot of people were like, how are you going to do running? But he did it for his talent, and he did a great job.
So we've got like our traditional children's pageant every year.
Mm-hmm.
I know that you all come and hopefully you'll be there this year and judge the competitive divisions. But I know we always try to tell them to please do something traditional, and then we've had things like I don't know, ballet and I don't know, all different things. But it sounds like you guys did some really great things.
Yeah.
Let's see. So why do you think the pageant is relevant and important? I mean, do you think it's important for the next generation and the students coming up to get involved with this and kind of pass on the heritage and the traditions?
Yeah. So I am the 47th Miss Indigenous ASU. So this pageant has been going on for almost half a century, which is a very long time for a pageant to be going on. And I feel like it's very relevant because, you know, we're not really like a tribal pageant, I guess you could say, but we're a school pageant. And not only a school pageant, but we're a university pageant. And so we're all students in higher education, and we all are going to school for something. And it's pretty much showing that representation that, you know, we are a tribal ambassador, but we're also college students as well. And as college students, you know, we have a very busy schedule with all of our classes that we're taking. And with me personally, I have to take like labs for my major, and I have to take recitation. So we're all pretty much busy, you know, busy bees. But I feel like it's extremely relevant because not only the college student aspect of it, but because we've had such a legacy, for an example of like Miss Indigenous ASUs in the past. One of my personal favorites is Shandine Parrish. She is a council delegate for the Navajo Nation for my chapters of Chichimbito, but she's also representing Kayenta and Denahutsa. And then she also sits on the council as a councilwoman for the Budget and Finance Committee as well. And she's a former Miss back when it was called Miss Indian ASU, and then she's also a former Miss Indian Arizona and a former Miss Navajo Nation. And those things, I feel like, as you know, as women that have held this title in the past, they're leaving such a strong legacy, such as Shandine Parrish, and it's an amazing legacy to be able to follow and to be part of that sisterhood, I like to say. And it's extremely relevant because, you know, these are college students, but, you know, the crown doesn't really define us, or these titles doesn't define us, but it's more of what you choose to do after these titles and how you decide to carry yourself after them, because, you know, holding a title will lead you to a lot of opportunities, and it'll open the doors for you if you decide to take it. And I feel like that's what makes it, you know, the most relevant, is because the people that have held these titles, they go on and to do amazing things. So to be able to be part of that legacy, you know, I really enjoy it a lot.
You're so eloquent and beautiful. That all goes without saying, but very impressive. So I want to know, what have you been doing, like, outside of the title? What are you going to school for? What do you want to do? When are you graduating?
Yeah.
What are your plans?
So I am going to school for biomedical sciences. And so outside of the title, I have done stuff such as internships. So recently I had gone to Berkeley, California last summer, and I did an internship at the Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory. It's such a mouthful. And I worked with transgenic mice there, and I was able to do, I believe it was 16 weeks in Berkeley, California. So I stayed near the University of California, Berkeley, so UC Berkeley. And it was amazing to be able to experience the Bay Area. I wasn't personally a fan of it because
really?
I don't know. I'm more of like, I feel like a city person, and I feel like the Bay Area it's city, but it's not like Phoenix City.
No.
It's very like congested, and it just wasn't for me basically. But I really did love the research. So outside of the title, I really hope to continue with that, and I hope to graduate next year in 2026. Or hopefully in the winter if I do finish early. So sometime within this next year.
And so what are you going to do when you graduate? What do you want to do?
Yeah, so I want to participate in a graduate program. So I want to do genetic research and genetic studies. And I want to be able to obtain my PhD eventually. So it's going to be a lot more school ahead. But I want to do genetic research. So I hope to to be able to do research, but I want to do research in Indigenous communities. So as Native Americans, we are higher susceptible to hereditary diseases such as like diabetes or high blood pressure. But I feel like these statistics, people do research often just to repeat them, and they're like, oh, well, this ethnicity has a higher rate of diabetes, and but what are we going to do about it? Rather than just doing the research to restate the statistics, I want to bring those statistics down. And so being able to do ethical research within Indigenous communities, because I know in the past there has been a very skeptical research done in Indigenous communities that has led to a lot of distrust. So I want to be able to be a representative for my community and to speak for them, but to also be able to bring that research back so it's more qualitative for them.
Okay, question for you. So I know we don't have a lot of time. I got maybe 5 minutes. Do you have any favorite success stories or any fun memories of being Miss Indigenous ASU? Like any of the kids, I don't know.
Yeah, so it's only been a few months since I've been awarded this title, so I still have a whole year to go. But so far, I would say that one of my favorite memories of holding this title so far has been the American Indian Convocation. So at ASU, and I did the opening blessing, so the invocation. And after the convocation was over, I had some little girls come up to me and they said they loved my outfit. I wore a traditional rug dress, and I feel like it's hot here in Phoenix, so wearing a rug dress is probably not the brightest idea, but I just wanted to wear it because I loved it so much, and I've never had a rug dress before, and my family had one made for me, so I just really wanted to wear it. And they looked like, they were so starstruck seeing like a girl wearing a rug dress, and they wanted to touch it too, so they were just like, oh, can I take a picture with you? Oh yeah, I loved the way that you talked to us or addressed the crowd. I've heard a lot of compliments saying that my public speaking was really good. So
you do speak, yes.
I felt like that was such great feedback as well. But I really loved the American Indian Convocation because I saw a lot of my friends graduate as well. So just being able to literally be on the stage where they're walking and where they receive their stoles is such a memorable feeling as well. So yeah, I would probably say that's one of my favorite memories of holding this title.
That's awesome. Was it a good turnout for the convocation?
There's a lot of people. I don't really get nervous when it comes to public speaking or addressing a crowd, but ASU Gamage is huge, and they had the second floor, not the second floor, but the second part of Gamage. So there's the lower deck and there's also the upper deck.
That's thousands of people.
Yeah, that whole thing was full of people, and I was so nervous. And I think a lot of people could tell that I was nervous because I don't really get nervous, but when I do, it's very noticeable. And so I was just I was excited to be able to, open the convocation, but I was extremely nervous.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Good thing. It sounds amazing that you did that and everything else. So Tanana, what's the pageant timeline? Is it you said it opens a couple months before in April? Mm-hmm. So usually February-ish?
About February, March.
Okay, and where can you find information on that?
So we have an Instagram, and our Instagram is MMIASU. So it stands for the acronym of Miss and Mr. Indigenous at ASU. And typically we post updates frequently regarding the pageant. So around February, March is definitely the time to be able to look out for any type of updates. But we also have a Facebook as well under Miss and Mr. Indigenous at ASU committee. And we typically host different types of informational meetings. So that way people who are interested in running for the pageant, they're able to attend these sessions and to get to be able to learn more about what it takes to hold a title and what it's like to have a title. And so that's typically where a lot of our information is found, but we also have an email at asuroyalty@gmail.com. And so we're always open to taking any types of questions or inquiries regarding the pageant.
So if somebody was interested, do you start in the fall when school starts in August or whenever school starts this year and talk to people if they have questions then? You start the process then and saying, hey, are you interested, or do you wait a little bit longer?
We wait a little bit longer. I like to say we probably we start talking about it within January, so the start of the spring semester.
Okay.
And then we start planning in fall, so that way we can get a venue in time and to be able to talk about things such as getting new sashes for the new court. So those are just small things that we have to be able to do in the timeline regarding the pageant, aside from doing informational sessions for the contestants.
Okay, well, let's talk about your sash since you brought it up. It's beautiful, and I was noticing it before.
Thank
So
you.
it says Miss Indigenous ASU 2025-26 on it, and you've got a lot of pins.
Yeah.
So what are the pins on there? I see the red dress, and for our listeners that don't know, what is the red dress? I see a Dutch Bros and a Miss Kitty and a Nintendo. So tell us a little bit more about the pins on your sash.
Yeah, so all of these pins were gifted to me for the most part. So this one was gifted, this red dress one I have here at the top, it's beaded. It was gifted to me when I was Miss Indian Arizona's first attendant, and it was at the Phoenix Indian Center's I believe their MMIP walk that they do annually during May. So this was actually given to me, and a very generous lady was like, oh, I have this to gift to you. And she gave this to me. And I thought this was really cool. And I think it's one of my most favorite pins since it's so beautiful. But pretty much the red dress just symbolizes our missing and murdered Indigenous women or relatives as well. So I like to keep it right at the front where everyone can pretty much see it because it's a beautiful pin and it symbolizes a lot. But going down, I have some pins that were from my former titles as well. So just being able to carry those pins over is really cool because they were gifted to me. So I like to carry them wherever I go. But I have like a little Hopi pin from Sami Jashima, and she's Hopi, and she gifted this to me after I was awarded the Miss Indian Arizona First Attendant. So she's Hopi, so she decided to give this to me. And then I have the Wallapai seal up here, and this was from the chairman of the Wallapai Nation. And then I have a little basket from the Hana Autumn Nation when I did an event there as well. And this is beautiful because it's like woven.
It's woven. It's beautiful. It is.
And then I went to New York recently, so I have some New York pins as well. I have a little pancake pin. And then this was also gifted to me as well. It's a Navajo basket, and it's beaded. And this was at the, I forget what this powwow is called, but it's in Salt River. So, and then this one.
Oh, the Red Mountain.
Yes, the Red Mountain powwow.
Red Mountain powwow, yep.
And then I have a little Idaho pin. So my boss at Labriola, his name is Eric Hardy. He went to Idaho for a conference, and he brought me back a little Idaho pin. And then he also went to Universal Studios just recently, and he knows that I like pins, so he brought me like a little Mario pin, and he like pops out and he goes back up. But he goes back up basically. He just went into his little tunnel. I have a little Hello Kitty pin. I went to the Hello Kitty Cafe. And then I have a little Diamondbacks pin. So I went to the Native American recognition game.
Oh yeah, a couple weeks ago.
Yep. And I got a little Diamondbacks pin.
We
It
were
has a
there.
sunflower. Oh, yeah. So, and I love sunflowers. So I thought that was so cute. And then I have a little Statue of Liberty from New York because I went to the Statue of Liberty as well. And then I have a little Winnie the Pooh pin from Disneyland. That was from my boss as well. And he went to Disneyland too after Universal Studios. So he brought me back a little Winnie the Pooh pin.
Hit all those parks over there.
And I have a little Dutch Bros pin as well because I love Dutch Bros. And when they said they're doing like a pin drop, I raced over there so fast, and I really wanted one of their pins. So I feel like my sash definitely is unique to my personality and the events that I've gone to, but also like my type of special interest as well.
It's very cool. It's representative of what you like. And that one is what? Is that a Spartan?
No, so these are the United States Military Academy, so at West Point, and these are their pins. So this is the class of 2025 Together We Thrive pin, and then I have like their little crest, or not crest. This is their crest, but this is like their like mascot. It's a Spartan, yeah. And
Did you go up to West Point?
Yeah, I did actually. I went to the graduation, so it was really cool. And then our Mr. Indigenous ASU, his brother also goes to West Point too. So he's a graduate. So he just recently graduated in class 2025. So it's really cool that their family was able to gift me these pins, especially this one, because it's so shiny and it has like their class crest on there as well. So this was gifted from the Mr. Indigenous ASU's family. And then I have a little Seattle pin. My friend went to Seattle just recently, and she brought me back one of their pins. So it's like a little whale, and it's in a coffee. It's kind of funny. And then this was given to me from another worker at the American Indian Initiative's office. Her name is Annabelle Bowen, and she is Navajo, but she's also Seneca. So this pretty much just says, I love you in Seneca. And then a little Labriola pin for my work.
Oh, it's absolutely beautiful. And I thought it was interesting that you said, I didn't even think about like that it had a year on the stash, and that that each Miss Indigenous ASU will get a new sash.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll get to keep that and always have that. So we're almost out of time, but I wanted to find out, how can our listeners find more information about the Miss Indigenous ASU pageant, the upcoming programs, and how could somebody contact you?
Yeah, so on our Instagram, we are under MMI ASU, and then we also have our Facebook under Miss and Mr. Indigenous ASU Committee. So you can always just shoot us a DM. We're pretty good on responding back in a timely manner. So if there's like any questions at all or any sort of request for like an appearance to go to like an event, we have the Google Forms in our bio. So that's through our Instagram, but also through our Facebook. So that way we receive inquiries that way. But we also have an email under asuroyalty@gmail.com, and you can always just reach out and send us an email there as well for any type of inquiries regarding the pageant or even like appearances as well.
Yep, I'm just looking at the Instagram right now, and it's got a lot of great stuff on here, so I encourage people to check it out. MMIASU on Instagram. And Tanana, it's been such a pleasure having you and seeing you again, and you're doing like the most amazing things, and you should be so proud and making such a difference.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Well, I'm so glad you came by.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It was so amazing to be here and to be in the studio. I didn't realize how big it was.
Thank you for listening to Native Talk Arizona, presented by Native Health and 90.7 FM KRDP. Our executive producer is Susan Levy. Sound engineer is Javier Quiroga. We hope you will tune in again next week. If you have any questions, please reach us at nativetalkaz@listentokrdp.com.